Welcome to downtown Los Angeles and 5 o'clock traffic. Now, I'm not jealous of this, but I'm just here to show you a little bit of the 87.3 million cars produced in 2013 worldwide. Now, that is a lot of natural resources, about 68 million tons and $100 billion worth of resources. Now, with this cultural generation of recycling concerned citizens, it's really interesting to see how the European Union and the United States deal with recycling of these vehicles that aren't being used anymore. Now, before I can go on about how the European Union, how America gets along with recycling these end-of-life vehicles, you need to know what it is. Now, here's a picture of a lot of them. Here's one that's about to be an end-of-life vehicle. I have a few of these that are growing. You can go pick one out if you want, but essentially they all look like that. Essentially, an end-of-life vehicle is just a vehicle where the previous owner has decided that it doesn't have a use for it anymore. It's where the owner has run his course with the useful life of his vehicle, so he started to recycle it. Now, when a vehicle has been termed end of life, essentially it goes through three big processes. First would be the dismantlers, where they go into the car and take all the useful parts it can and try to resell them or remanufacture them, which brings in the remanufacturing process, which tears down, inspects, tests whatever equipment to make sure they're still up to specifications so they can be resold. Now, the rest of the material that's in that car is sent to the shredders, where the materials are separated and reused in similar or even different projects. Now, there are two ways to go about recycling end-of-life vehicles. And the European Union and the United States of America have gone on complete separate paths. The European Union likes to issue directives, like this one directive on end-of-life vehicles back in 2000, which is really one of the first of its kind for the EU that had a focus on end-of-life vehicle recycling. It mandated that manufacturers not be able to use certain materials that would be harmful to the environment. It also implemented some recycling programs where the consumer didn't even have to pay to get its old car removed. So it was very ahead of its time. But what was really interesting was the quotas it mandated. As you can see in 2015, the reuse and recovery percentage is 95%, and the reuse and recycling is 85%. When all that means is the amount of reuse and recovery material has to be 95%, or the amount of material that can be reused or burnt for energy has to be 95% of the car. So it's a very high percentage, and it's very interesting to see if it can be done. But compared to the U.S., the federal government has not really done much. There's not really that many stringent regulations coming from the federal government of the United States. Most of it comes from the state. Usually that just means like labeling on water bottles. You can't put certain things in landfill, things of that kind of nature. Usually California is the front runner for us to do those kind of things. So, but as an example of national implementation, the National Vehicle Mercury Switch Recovery Program, which gave states incentives to recover mercury switches, and also the EPA banning the disposal materials in landfills. So there are national implementations, but they're not like the European Union, which is a question that should the United States government follow the European Union and implement regulations regarding vehicle disposal. Knowing our culture, if there's $1 to be made, the U.S. will try to find a way to get it. If there isn't, then they'll probably abandon ship. So should the United States federal government institute regulations regarding like mandatory end-of-life vehicle recycling? Thank you.